Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we ended up losing in the Stanley Cup Finals, which was the first of two big blows to our team, because we did also lose our long-term captain in Josiah Staubitz to retirement, which was quite the big blow. I wasn't really expecting him to retire of all people. I was kind of expecting like Ristolainen to retire and all that, but those guys didn't retire, which is kind of surprising. So those guys will live on for another season. But losing Staubitz is a pretty substantial blow in terms of offense and everything like that, because the guy was really, really good in his last season. Even he had 73 goals and 128 points, over 1,600 in his career. Was much better over the last 8 years than he was in the early stages of his career, but it was a really good year for him. And I was anticipating, like I said, him sticking around for a few more years, but he decided to call it quits, which was very unfortunate considering we've only won one Stanley Cup with him now. We will probably likely still have a pretty good roster going into next season, but I do think there is going to be a little bit of a regression because obviously Dunham is probably not going to assimilate necessarily as good as what Staubitz was doing now. The good thing about Dunham is he's only 23 years old, so he could do very good on that top line, but I don't know if he will do the exact same type of thing. Dunham has been getting better every single year, so it'll be interesting to see what he could do next season as a top line guy. He has been a 3-straight 50-point guy. He's almost hit 30 goals multiple times as well in his career, so I'm hoping he could take the big step for us, just because obviously losing Staubitz, like I said, is a pretty substantial blow. But will be interesting to see what this team's looking like going into next season. I don't even know if Ristolainen will be our top line center next season, because there is a chance he could be dropping off by the start of the season. So there is a chance that maybe Risto's a second line center. Cashman might be taking top line spot if we are able to re-sign him, that type of thing. So interested to see what our roster looks like going into next year and all that stuff. But first, we have to get through another offseason, which means the draft, the re-sign stage, and setting up our team. Maybe we'll sign some former players in free agency if we have the cap space and if there is any former players. But right now, I'm not too sure if there's going to be any of those guys in free agency or not. But anyways, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into another offseason and see how good this team's looking going into another season. So the first comment is from Andy, who says, Staubitz to the Hockey Hall of Fame, what a career. And I agree, Staubitz was fantastic for, like I said, a lot of his career numbers were when he was older, which was kind of interesting, because when he was a younger guy, he was kind of like a 20-goal guy. He wasn't really doing too much, but then by the time he got into like his like later 20s, I think it was like 28, 29, the guy started to score like 40, 50 goals. Then he had to end up having 60 goal seasons, and he had his 170 goal season as well. So he was quite insane by the end of it, and obviously I think he's going to be a first channel ballot channel Hall of Famer for sure. I would expect Ristolainen to also be a first ballot channel Hall of Famer. And then guys like Narena and Kolars, maybe they make it as well at some point. But I'm excited to see if we decide to end up doing a Hockey Hall of Fame induction thing for the series, and also my Islanders one by the end of NHL 25 or not. The next comment is from Garage TV, who says, sad finals. It was just like they gave up. And I would say it was a little mix of giving up and not giving up. Like, I definitely think some guys obviously still played really well, but other guys just didn't do enough. Like, we did find our goal scoring, which was good in that series, but you could see we gave up way too much goals. The main problem was the fact that Gionta couldn't keep the puck out of the net to save his life. Because, it did not go our way. The first game, we won 6-5, so we did score more goals than them, but just barely beat them. Then we lost 6-4, 5-4, 3-0, so that was probably our worst loss for sure, and 6-4. So we scored like 4+ goals a game for the most part, except for that 3-0 shutout loss. And then we gave up like 5+ goals in every single game pretty much too. So definitely aren't going to win games when you give up that many goals and such. So obviously our defensive play needed to be much better, and same with our goaltending. The next comment is from Sound Talk. This is not a good week for either of your current franchise modes. Salute to Staubitz, get his number in the rafters next season. And it wasn't a really good week for sure with our franchise modes, because we lost 2 cup finals, and obviously we lost Staubitz to retirement. So talk about big blow after big blow. Hopefully both those franchise modes kind of turn around in these next few years. Obviously with the Albuquerque series, we only have a few more years left, so likely to win a chance to win another Stanley Cup is kind of going down the tubes a bit, but hopefully my Islanders team is able to win one relatively soon. In the last and final comment is from Michael Dos, who says, Risto and Narena was all over the hill already, but man, Gionta was bad. And yeah, Gionta Definitely didn't show his Vezina Trophy winning like stats in that Stanley Cup Finals because he was really, really rough. But he did win another Vezina, and also he did win another Jennings. But if you go to his numbers from that Stanley Cup Finals, if we could see game by game, which I don't know if we can at this stage. Yes, we can still. Okay, that's kind of cool. But you can see in that Cup Finals, he played 3 games because he was yanked, and a bunch of times he decided to go to other goaltenders. His first game, he had an 848. His second game, he had a 750. And third game, he had an 865. So definitely did not do enough. And then, like I was saying, the goaltending in general was just really bad because Boris Malkin as well in that Cup Finals had 2 games, and he had an 857 and an 828. So both those goaltenders didn't do really well either. We did give a chance to Mathers for a game as well. And he was actually pretty much the best goalie for us in that Cup Finals because he only played the 1 game and posted a 923. So for the most part, our goaltending just did not live up to its regular season stats, which kind of made sense, I guess, in a way. But we are going to be able to run this goaltending tandem back again for another season because Gionta is still signed for that 1 more year. And then after that 1 more season, we could kind of make a decision if we want to let go of Gionta or if we want to just have Malkin be the starting guy as the future. So we'll be interested to see what happens with all that when we get to that point. But let's get into this draft and see what we can snag up here. I don't really care too much about the draft at this stage anymore, so we will probably end up making still all our selections, but we might auto-sim through some of this draft a bit too, just because it's probably not the strongest class on paper, so we'll probably get through this relatively quick. And then re-sign stage, obviously, we'll try and maintain our roster as much as possible with the cap space that we have left now that Staubitz has retired. So let's see what happens in this draft, see what we can snag up here. I don't even remember what if I pinned anything in last episode or not. Also, I didn't even realize it says that Larmour retired. That's interesting. Did I even see that? I don't think it showed that Larmour was retiring. But I thought it says that Larmour retired the same year as Staubitz did. I didn't even mention that guy. But Larmour was a really good player in the series as well. So some pretty big retirements in that offseason, but did I pin anybody? I don't remember. I don't feel like I did. But if I did, it was probably somebody like in a late round spot, right? Oh no, I did pin 3 guys, but they're not all supposed to go first round. I think it was, Dingle was the one that's guaranteed to be a low lead, so I'm probably just going to take him because he's guaranteed low lead, but likely none of these guys even get a chance to play before the series ends, so it doesn't really matter too much what we take. But let's take a look at this year's top 5 of the draft. It's Buffalo, followed by Vegas, New York, Vancouver, and St. Louis. So what are the Sabres going to take with the first overall selection? They take Nilsson, 83 overall left wing sniper. He's already listed as a second line forward to this guy, and he does have wheels, so very good skater this guy is. He also has 87s across the board in terms of shooting. Probably will have a pretty good career, but obviously we'll only see a little bit of this guy in the NHL. Vegas at number 2 is going to select Jalkinen, who's the first defenseman in his draft class. He's a 2-way, pretty basic, good shot power. Pretty much like, I guess, like Shea Weber in that sense when you say good shot power and all that. But pretty much I think a lot of these 2-ways are kind of built the exact same, so nothing too much different there. Rangers at 3 are going to select Ackers, who's a medium elite grinder. That's kind of an interesting selection. You don't usually see medium elite grinders too often, but Jared Ackers or Akers, one of the two. And I'm not the most offensively crazy guy right now because his awareness is pretty low. His shooting's not the craziest. His passing's not the craziest, but he still should be able to produce at some rate. Looks like he could take faceoffs. He does have truculence, so will be interesting to see what this guy does in terms of like hitting and all that for the Rangers. Number 4, the Vancouver Canucks are going to select Whitaker, who is a 2-way defenseman as well, 77 overall. So yeah, this draft class isn't super strong. That's why I don't think we're going to really get too much in it, but we might auto-sim, honestly, like the last 3 selections or something if it just drops off a cliff. But Aiden Whitaker looking pretty solid for the Canucks. And the final pick in the top 5 is the St. Louis Blues. They select Ozens, who's an offensive defenseman. So a couple of defensemen in the early stages of this draft class. Looking pretty good. Obviously, he's only a 76, so he might start the year in the AHL. He's only got medium 4 potential as well, which I thought he said medium elite. But medium 4 will probably end up being something decent for them. All right, let's simulate to our pick at 32. And we'll likely take that guaranteed low elite. I don't honestly care about the other teams and what they're selecting right now either. Like I said, this draft class is just one of those weird, really weak ones. What's interesting about this Gilbert Fleury guy, Yes, he's playing for Cape Breton just like Marc-Andre Fleury. So I wonder if this is just like a generated Marc-Andre Fleury kid. You know, he's 6'5". Jeez, tall guy. So yeah, we're gonna go all the way down here and just select Dingle. Like I said, he's the guaranteed low lead. He's 17 years old as well, so does have a lot of room to grow. He does have a weakness in character, but at this stage we don't really care too much. So let's take Isaac Dingle. It's also kind of a cool name. So welcome aboard to Mr. Dingle. He's a 63 overall. Pretty solid starting point. And yeah, looking probably pretty decent. Yeah. He does have some solid shooting. His defensive awareness is better than his offensive, so might be a future penalty kill guy, maybe in the last year of this franchise mode. I don't know if he'll make it before then, but at least that gives our AHL team another potential guy to play in it in these last few years. Let's eliminate to our next pick at 65. I don't know if we're going to find anything else here because you can see there's low sixes and medium sixes. There's some steals here, but I just feel like this draft class is pretty damn trash. It's pretty damn trash. Yeah, like medium nines. I don't think I really want a medium 9. Let's see. Slaney. I can't see because of Sierra. Hello. Stop glitching out, game. Thank you. Slaney. Slaney might be a guaranteed medium 6, so I honestly might take him. But at this stage, it doesn't really matter too much if he's medium 6 or not. Is there any other elites that are supposed to go around this stage? I mean, I could take a chance on one of these guys, but they're not supposed to go until later. So let's just go with Caden Slaney at this pick and see if he's a medium 6 or not. Medium 9, 63. I mean, that's a decent starting overall. He is a grinder as well. So maybe a good physical bottom 6 guy for the future if he is to develop, but not the craziest selection there. Now we assimilate to 98. I honestly don't even know if we're going to find anything else here in this draft class. We might as well take this guy that's a gem that could be an elite. So Malachi Hartman, let's take him and see how good he is. He is a medium elite. That's actually a pretty good pick. That's a pretty good pick, but I don't know if he'll make it before the series ends. But he's 19 years old, and he's only a 53, so a little bit of a low starting point for a 19-year-old, but does have the potential to become something really good. So maybe that's going to be a solid steal. Maybe he'll make it before the series ends if he develops fast enough, but that's definitely not a bad one considering the quality of this draft class. All right, 131 now, so we're at the end of the 4th round here. Is the other guy still there? Yeah, he is. It's a goaltender. I don't really need goalies that much. This guy's already 20 years old as well, but let's just take him anyways. And he is a medium elite. 57 at 20 is pretty damn low. Like, this guy's probably not going to make it till he's like 25 and above, which means he's probably not going to make it before the series ends, but maybe he'll give us another goalie at least in the AHL before the series ends as well. All right, 5th round now. So a couple more selections. Is there anybody else worth taking in this draft class, or should I just auto-sim the rest of it? Because I am recording this episode kind of a bit later than usual, so kind of just want to get it done with in a sense. I know it's kind of bad saying that, but Likens, we might as well take a chance on one of these guys that could be a little elite. So let's just go with Wiseman, take a chance on him. Low top 60 offensive defenseman, probably not going to pan out. That's okay. 2 more selections in this draft. Can we find any crazy steal in it, or are we going to have a bit of a mid-draft? Probably a mid-draft, right? Hudobin, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be elite, but let's take a chance on you. Medium 9 grinder, so another physical kind of guy. And our final pick of the draft, which is at number 230. Can we find any crazy steal with this last pick of the draft? Probably not. Probably not. I don't see anybody with crazy good attributes. I guess we'll just go for... Let's go for Ramjit Singh. Good old Ramer. Let's see if you are actually a good player or not. Low bottom 6'4". Yikes. Alright, so not the craziest draft for us. We do get that 1 medium elite steal. We do get a low elite, so that's at least not bad, but definitely not one of the stronger classes, but we kind of expected that. The more important thing is obviously the re-sign stage for us at this point, just keeping everybody on this team together, and hopefully we could run it back again next season, even without our old captain in Staubitz. Alright, so let's re-sign some coaches, because we do want to kind of keep the same coaching staff involved if possible, which it might be kind of hard to do that, because some of these guys want to be higher up in the coaching staff, but we'll try and bring them all back if we can, because that'd be nice. So let's try that out. Hayduk, let's give you 280k. And then we'll just bring back the AHL coaches and stuff as well for the time being. But hopefully everybody will accept. And I kind of hope there's some former players in free agency so we could kind of fill out a roster a little bit more. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world if that's not the case. So let's get Krejci signed. Boom. That should be enough to sign all those guys. Hopefully at least our NHL coaches accept. And in terms of the scouts, let's go through this quickly. We don't have a lot of scouts to bring back, which is good. They should all easily accept because most of the time scouts don't reject unless you don't have enough space. Which we do have one extra space, and I don't know what scout that's for. I don't even know if it really matters at this stage either, just because we're not too focused on the draft like we were obviously in the early stages of this franchise mode. So let's get these scouts signed up. I think there's a few more. Hines, and I think there's like 5 total, so we should be near the end at least with getting them all back. Let's see, Weber. Oh, it is Shea Weber as well. Okay, so there you go. So it's all just only those 4 scouts, was it? Or was it 5? Okay, it was 4. All right, perfect. All right, so all that is dealt with. How much money do we get to spend in the re-sign stage is the question. $41 million. Well, Stubbett's coming off the board is actually kind of nice for the salary cap. But obviously we do have a lot of UFAs to deal with, which is not a great thing. So I am going to sign the guys that want 2-way contracts just easily, just because we might as well get them out of the way. So guys like Malak, who wants a 1-way, will wait on you. Newbury needs a contract for the AHL. He's one of those guys that could make it before the series ends, which is kind of nice. Cogliano needs an ELC as well as a medium elite. We'll sign you up. Perfect. Gonna let go of Dackel just to free up some roster space in the minors a bit. Also gonna let go of Peterson for the time being. Kavasha, I'm gonna let you go as well for the time being. Might as well free up some roster space in the minors, right? We'll sign McKinnon. I'll probably let go of this low bottom 6. Gorn as a low top 9, I'll let you go as well. And this medium 6, I mean, it is some potential, but he's only a 55 at 20. We'll sign you just because you got potential, but I doubt you're going to grow. So we'll sign those guys all up. Do I want to bring back Mathers as a 3rd string goaltender? He only wants 925. You know what? I might as well hold on to Reed Mathers just in case we get any injury troubles with our goaltenders like we did this season. In terms of our RFAs, we should be able to get most of these guys back on 2-way deals. So Dallas Corrado and also Zhitnik. Hudnan's the only RFA that's going to cost us probably a good chunk. But I'm okay with giving him a good chunk. Also Malkin too, for that matter. So we'll get our AHL goalies signed up here. Malkin, what are you wanting at the moment? Let's see. 1 year and then you become a UFA, which is the exact same year as Gionta becomes a UFA. So that's kind of okay with me. 4.3 is really actually not that bad when you think about it. So let's just give him what he's asking for, to be honest, since we have the money. And we should be fine in getting him back. Hutton, how many years do you want? Oh man, you don't even have a lot of organizational interest. 7.4 is kind of expensive. He is still an RFA if I go for more than 1 year, like 1 to 2 years. I could qualify him for the time being. I might as well take advantage of his RFA status for a little bit longer, if I can. And then in terms of our UFAs, we should be able to sign literally everybody back. Like I said, Staubitz losing him to retirement might have been good, honestly, just for the fact that we could bring literally everybody back almost again. Actually, let's go 2 years on him. You sure? 2 years from a lock's not really that bad, because he is kind of like just a kind of 4th line depth option. Might as well hold on to him a little bit longer. And then Ackerstrom, he's been playing a little bit in the AHL. Let's just go a little bit lower on you. We should be fine. We should be fine. Comrie was pretty bad in the playoffs. He wants 4.4. I'm just going to try and re-sign literally everybody, even if some of them I don't really want to have long-term in the future. I just want to make sure we have enough bodies to play in the NHL next year. So I just don't want to be understaffed, so to speak. There you go. Narena's going to cost us a good chunk, but he is dropping off, so he shouldn't be too bad. $9 million. Damn, man, that's a lot of money. I honestly have to give it to him, though, because the fact that he is a legend here, kind of. I know some people would be like, hey, why are you holding on to him? We do have a guy in the system that could come up to the NHL too, so this is probably not a great idea giving him a 2-year deal, so maybe we do a 1-year deal and then just overpay on him. But there is a chance Narena might drop off a lot, so we're going to give him the 1-year deal and just overpay on him for 1 year just because of the fact that we lost Daubitz, so we might as well give him like $10 million for a year. And then Cashman, what are you wanting? Holy shit, that's a lot. Oh man, we might actually be tighter on cap space than I anticipated. Let's advance a day first and let me just check the money situation here. I don't want to like make any stupid mistakes because like I said, I am recording this way later than that normal. So I'm hoping that I could actually afford everybody here. But Cashman is kind of more expensive than I was anticipating. Okay, so we have $33 million in cap space. Okay, so we do have the money to re-sign everybody, I think. Yeah, we do. Because Hudnin, let's just end up qualifying you since you're the RFA. You already actually qualified, never mind. But Cashman and Narena, will you be able to bring them both back? Now, Cashman wants to be paid like a first-line center. And some of you guys might think this is a massive overpay by giving him like an 8-year deal as a 30-year-old. But we're likely going to lose Ristolainen next year or this year, something like that. And we're going to need a new top-line center. And there's not really anybody else that could actually take that spot and be realistically good. Like, Comrie, I don't think would be a top-line guy. So, honestly, I'm going to give Cashman what he's asking for here. And it might strap us down cap-wise down next offseason, something like that. But I just want to make sure we literally have our centers. Because if we don't bring back Cashman, and then we lose Ristolainen to retirement, we would be running Comrie as a first-line center, and that's kind of iffy. So I'm going to see if maybe I can knock this down by a little bit, but I don't know if I can really too much because his organizational interest isn't super crazy high. So if I could go for like 8.1 for 8 years, I think that's fine. Obviously, he's 30 years old, like I said, but we might as well keep him here till the end if that's a possibility. And in Narena, I might as well just give him... like I said, let's just give him the 2-year deal, actually, for that matter. I'll just knock him down by 2 bars because I probably can. I probably can knock him down by quite a bit here. So we might as well hold on to him, even though he is on the decline. I just hope he retires before maybe year 2 or something like that of his contract. So let's go 7.625 for 2 years. And both those guys hopefully accept that. And Hudnin won't cost us too much. Like I said, at least he's an RFA for a few more years. So let's advance and see if Cashman and Narena accept, which looks like multiple people are accepting. Cashman has accepted, and same with Narena. So we're down to $20 million in cap space with only Hutton to re-sign. So that is good news, which means we're going to have everybody back, which is awesome. So our goaltending, we do have 3 goaltenders in the NHL. But like I said, Mathers is just more of a depth option, again, just in case we run into any injury with Malkin or Giunta, or we need a new one for the playoffs. And then from a defensive standpoint, we have Bell, Hunwick, Tulipov, Hudnin, Narena, Petterman, and McLeod. So that's 7 defensemen already. Oh, man. Yeah, technically it would have made us probably been smart to let go of Narena, but I don't want him to retire on another team. I just feel like it's unright doing that. So I think we're going to probably have too many defensemen, and I'm going to probably have to scratch somebody, which is not great. Or we let Hutton get qualified. I don't know about doing that either. Technically, with Narena retiring soon, I'm hoping he drops down to being like a depth defenseman before the season starts, because that would maybe be our best bet, to be honest. And then from a forward perspective, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with Malak, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we probably need still depth forwards if we can, but we honestly might not have any former players in free agency, so honestly, I don't even know if we're going to have the right amount of forwards. We probably have too many defensemen. I could try and converting one of the offensive defensemen to a forward. That might not be a bad idea. Or I could try playing him as a forward. That might not be a bad idea. Like, the young defenseman might be manipulable into being a forward. So maybe I could keep Narena on defense in that sense. So maybe we could rework some stuff. Let's see if there's any former players in free agency, just out of curiosity. But I might want to keep the cap space for next offseason or something like that. So we don't need goaltenders. We know that. How about defense? I don't really need them either, but Hutton's obviously qualified for us, so he should be able to come back. I mean, Lee is in free agency. I don't really need Lee. Like I said, we don't really need defenders, so I'm looking more for like depth forwards that used to play for us potentially, if there's anybody. Which I don't know if there's going to be honest. There's Patrick as a 79 at 26. It's not bad, but he's probably listed as a fourth liner. Third line checking forward. I don't really want a third line checking forward. I want somebody listed as like a depth forward that paid with us. It's interesting that both these guys, their last names are Drieger. They're the same overall and nearly the same age. So these guys must be literally related. Gabrielle and Corey. Interesting. Any former depth forward kind of guys. That's not our one, right? No, it is. Oh, man, I forgot about Ludwig Enroth. Damn. That's interesting. He's been kind of an AHLer. We could probably bring him in. He's listed as a fourth liner, but you know, I'll bring him back just because we might as well get him back. He's on a two-way contract. I just want to make sure we have some depth forwards in case, because obviously if we run into injury trouble, I don't want to reach into the AHL too much. Oh man, Cade Del Monte is in free agency. Wow, that would be kind of an interesting one to bring back, but we don't have any use for Cade at this stage. He's also nowhere near as good as he used to be. Like, he played a couple years in Ottawa, or quite a few years in Ottawa, and has been on the decline since, and he's 33 years old now, so, probably doesn't make sense to bring him back. Oh, this is actually who I was thinking of, Mark Dagg. I was probably looking at a different guy. But Mark Dagg is, not depth enough to bring him back. Pascal Lambert is like a fourth-line depth option. It's not bad, but he's listed as a third-line scoring forward. I'd prefer somebody that actually listed as like a depth forward if possible. Capaduca, 38 at 25 is listed as a depth forward. So, you know what? Capaduca is exactly what I'm looking for here for former guys. Might as well bring him back since we have the money. And see if one more player might want to come back, if there's anybody else. Always good to bring back former guys if you have the money, right? Let's see, anybody else? Nobody else, it looks like, really. All right. So we brought back a couple depth forwards. I think that's all we really need to do, because all we need to do now is just re-sign Hutton in. We don't really need any coaches. I think we're pretty much good to sim up to next season and get set up already. So interested to see what our team's looking like. Like I said, the defensive dilemma is the one problem I have, because I did bring back Narena, but I don't want him to retire on another team. I just don't feel like it's right. But maybe do we try taking that offensive defenseman that we had in the AHL all last year, that he should be good enough to be on our top six? Do we try and see if he could play forward? Because that could be an option. So that way we could get all 7 of those defenders playing. Because right now, I'm not too sure what else we could do. So let's just get Hutton signed. Boom. He should easily accept that. But yeah, that's probably the only option I could think to get all those guys playing. Because if we don't get all those guys playing, one of them has to go probably back to the AHL again, which is not ideal. Like I said, the only other option is that if Narena drops down to a depth defenseman, we use him as a healthy scratch, which that's not a great idea when he's making that much money too, but might have to be the play. Might have to be. All right, so in terms of roster moves, let's just see what we have for our NHL team and AHL. So Malkin is better than Giunta now. Well, that's not great, because I don't want Malkin to be the starter. I really don't. I want Giunta to get another year as a starter, considering he's won 3 Vezinas and stuff like that, or 2 Vezinas. He's been like a really good goaltender. It's actually been 3 Vezinas, I think. Yeah, 3 Vezinas and 4 Jennings. I'd prefer Giunta to be the starter over Malkin, but I mean, they might honestly get like a 41 game split. So that's kind of interesting. Defensively, there is a bit of a logjam. As I mentioned, we are going to send Sagan down. But you can see we have 7 defensemen, and they're all listed as top 4 and above. So we might have to honestly just play McLeod as a forward this season, just to get him playing time until Narena retires. Once Narena retires, we put him back on defense. We maybe don't even change his position, but that might be the play. I think he could simulate good as a forward, to be honest, because he's got the good offensive awareness. He's got really good passing. His shooting's not the craziest, so maybe not, but I do really want to get this guy in the NHL this season after last year in the AHL. So it's either that, like I said, we could use Narena as a forward too, but not convert him fully. So I'm going to need your guys' opinion on that, because I just don't want to scratch any of these defenders. And if I'm playing all 7 of these defensemen, we will call up probably somebody as a depth defenseman. Probably like Johnston would be the best, just because you have Ackerstrom, Segal, Sagan, and Carlotti all listed as top 6, despite being 75 to 79 overall. So we do have a little bit of a logjam. And it probably would have made sense to let go of Narena, but like I said, I would not want him to retire on another team. I know some of you guys are going to suggest that at least. Right wing side of things, Dwight Dunham and Robertson. Anybody in the AHL need to come up? Reefers is kind of close as a 78. That's actually not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Interesting. We do have 2 roster spots open for the time being. Maybe I'll just call him up for the time being here. Malak's in the AHL. Should he even be in the AHL? Capaduca could take his roster spot. I don't know about that. I got to call it Malak here too while we're at it. And on centers, we have more than enough, I think. So, oh man, did I actually just exit out of that? Yes, I did. Let's get those guys called up here. And let's go best lines in the AHL and NHL. And let's just get this set up and see if we can make this work potentially. So, something like this could be okay. Could be. Risto's going to drop off throughout the season, so I don't expect him to be the first line center at the end of the year. Honestly, this doesn't look too bad. I mean, if I put Reefers in instead of Capaduca, and then Malak in... Is Malak actually listed as like a scoring forward or something? No, he's a depth forward too. Honestly, this might not be that bad. This might not be that bad. Yeah, I think this is probably what I would run for the forward group. However, like I said, getting an 81 overall young defenseman in as a forward is probably what we want to look into. We would probably have to move... We'd have to probably scratch Stillman instead, basically, is what I'm going to guess at. So I'm not too sure on that. Now, it does throw McLeod into our defensive core, as I kind of anticipated. Oh boy, this chemistry is not the best here. Oh boy. There you go. That looks better. Okay, that's going to work. So I probably would run this as our defensive core without Narena. Now, I do want Narena to play, because obviously he shouldn't be scratched, listed as a top 4 defenseman. So do I basically go into our lineup here, move Kopitz down, move Delisle down, and take Stillman out, and give this opportunity to Narena to be in our top 6? It doesn't make it a negative. I honestly could try it. I think I'm open to it considering we're so late in this franchise mode. I think that could work out, because he had some really good numbers as a defenseman. So as a forward in the top 6 rotation, I think that could honestly be cool. And then we could honestly scheme fit a lot of these guys so it fits a little bit better. So that way we actually have better chemistry on our forward group. And that way McLeod and him get the play. Obviously McLeod should be on the power play 1, which he already is. We could always put Narena on second power play. Hunwick's in that spot right now, but I could take Kopitz off easily and go with something like this instead. Yeah, honestly, I think this might be what we end up going with. Narena as a forward for maybe one of the last years of his career. I mean, it's kind of an interesting dilemma to do. And then, like I said, we have both goaltenders that are still really good, so that could be interesting. In terms of the AHL, anybody that should be in the lineup that isn't? No, not the case. Looks like pretty good AHLers down there. A lot of 75-plus overall kind of guys, so that's nice. And then defense, let's just try and get rid of this negative, which I'm not too sure if I can. But if we're playing Narena as a forward, I do need a depth defenseman in the NHL. Which means I do need to send down one of these 3 guys to the AHL and call up somebody as a depth defenseman potentially. So that could be the play. But I do want you guys' feedback on Narena as a forward. I think it's honestly, we might as well try it. Just because honestly, it makes us look like a decent team. And that way we're not scratching a young defenseman. And I don't want to scratch Narena or let him go on waivers or something like that. I don't even think I can waive him, to be honest. But I think that's what we'll run with. All right, final few things we got to do to end off this episode is I do need to make sure that we assign the new captains, because that's one thing that I almost forgot about, but I remembered that we mentioned about this in the Discord. So Ristolainen will be the new captain after Cashman, just because, or not after Cashman, what am I saying? Goddamn, after Staubitz. Cashman will be the assistant captain. I don't know if I want that. Kolars definitely should have an A, and I think Narena should get the other A just for the time being. Just because obviously all those guys are the closest to retirement. But the next generation of this team, I think like guys like Dunham could get an A for sure. Aside from that, not really too sure who else could get an A, but Dunham definitely could get an A because he's so good. Maybe we give something to like Tulipov or Bell, because Bell's been here a long time as well. Hunwa could maybe get a letter, something like that. All right, one last thing we got to take a look at. I do want to also see who is a pending free agent at the end of this upcoming season, out of curiosity. Bell's the big one. So I kind of hope that we do lose Narena at the end of the season. So I could bring back Bell on a decent contract, because he's going to be kind of expensive, I think. He's not too bad, actually. We do have $15 million in cap space right now. I could re-sign him already. But Doig's also another guy that's up for renewal. He's going to be kind of expensive. But yeah, a lot of guys are going to come off the books this offseason, so we might have a completely different team. We both also have both our goalies pending UFAs too, so it's going to be interesting to see who we prioritize at the end of the year. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will simulate another season. We'll see if this team makes it back to the playoffs or not. I think we definitely can make it back to the playoffs, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different without Staubitz on a roster. I think obviously the production on the offensive side of things might go down a bit, but obviously having Narena as a forward, I think, could prove a little bit more interesting than we think. Also having McLeod jump into our defensive core could provide some offense, so it might not be that bad after all. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.